Good morning and welcome, everyone. Welcome to another exciting and insightful TSIBA webinar. Today's webinar is called Show Up to Startup, and it's part of a series where, as a business school, we will be showcasing some of the entrepreneurial ventures started by our staff and our students. And the reason for doing this is we want to really embed entrepreneurial thinking and entrepreneurship within and outside of our curriculum as a means of job creation, as a means of people setting up themselves up for economic growth and advancement, and also to become role models in their communities where so many hundreds and thousands of young people are languishing in poverty and in despair. So today it's a purely TSIBA event, and we are very fortunate to have on as part of our panelists a member of staff and two students to talk about their entrepreneurial journeys. So it's an absolute pleasure to welcome Ms. Dale Skippers, Mr. Denver Vandenberg, and Mr. Shyvana France. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you in advance for sharing with us your journey towards entrepreneurship. So just to give you some context to the webinar, TSIBA as a business school has been rolling out webinars since 2020 as a means of reaching out to society, as a means of sharing our value with the broader community, and as a means of developing the hidden talents and capacities of our students. As a business school, besides teaching the formal curriculum, we also have to develop our social impact. And the quickest way to do so is by developing active entrepreneurs, people who can tap into where they are right now, harness their talents, and then bring this into the market in any way which they see fit. What we find is that most people don't often know how to start, and they are also too fearful to start. So there's a wonderful saying, a Buddhist saying that says, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with just one step. You have to take that step. And I think by listening to what other people have done, how they've taken the steps in their lives, hopefully we will motivate larger numbers of young people in South Africa, so that they become less dependent on a government grant, they become less dependent on some other social system, and that they can actually learn to do things for themselves. So that is enough from me on that point of view. So our show Up to Startup, as I mentioned earlier, will be part of a series where over a period of time, we will showcase TSIBA entrepreneurs as well as entrepreneurs in the broader ecosystem of which we are part. So to introduce our panelists today, I'd like to start with Dale Skippers. Dale is an academic administrator at TSIBA Business School. She holds a certificate in banking, an advanced marketing diploma, and a BCom in banking management. Dale founded Garrett Natural in October 2020 after falling in love with soap making. Garrett means freedom in Hebrew. Products which she manufactures using high quality natural oils and clay include liquid and bar soaps, shampoos, facial masks, shower gels, and lip balms. Dale, thank you for joining us. Our second panelist is Shyvana France. Shyvana is a current student at TSIBA, and he's a BBA student at TSIBA, and is the managing director and founder of Chef's Kitchen. So if you are familiar with, if you follow the local press, you probably would have read about Chef's Kitchen in the media. Chef's Kitchen is a community-based social enterprise which Shyvana founded in 2020. The core services of Chef's Kitchen are community food provision and childcare services. Shyvana is passionate about entrepreneurship as an essential ingredient for personal growth and community advancement. So Shyvana, thanks for availing yourself this morning.
Thank you for having me.
And our third panelist is Mr. Denver Vandenberg. So Denver is an anomaly. Not only does he hold a full-time job at a beautiful exclusive hotel called the Silo Hotel, but he's also a full-time student. So Denver, welcome. And I hope that through your story, people will learn how to juggle these different balls. So Denver, as part of a group of first-year students tasked with a project in the BBA entrepreneurship module to grow 100 Rand at the beginning of the year into 10,000 Rand, we started a business venture called M People. And M People is a boutique photography business offering instant photographs that capture memorable moments for clients at desirable venues. And so that was a relatively easy way of harnessing what is readily available. Every person has access to a smartphone, so they can probably learn from you, Denver, how to commercialize their smartphones. So thank you, Denver, for joining us, and thank you to all the panelists. Just from a housekeeping point of view, all attendees will be muted, but can pose questions or comments in the chat box. The panelists will have an average of 10 to 15 minutes to address the questions. So let's start with you, Dale. Garrett Natural has been a product now that's on the market for probably close to a year. Can you briefly share with us why you started this business?
Thank you, Dr. Well, it's a long time coming with Garrett. I firstly started researching making shower gels many years ago due to my son having a sensitive skin and being sensitive to the different products that was out in the market. At that time, I wasn't sure where to find all the ingredients and all, so it was many years ago. And then through one chat in the passage at TSIBA, I decided to, sitting at home during lockdown, Google 10 top side hustles. And number 10, there was making your own cosmetics, and I rehashed all the previous research I had. And fortunately, finding ingredients this time around was easier. And I do believe that in the climate of South Africa, we all need to have a side hustle. We have time, and there's a big market for NE and everybody. Thank you.
And so you identified a need, and you decided to address that need. Can you just talk through the process that you followed? I mean, what were the steps, the practical steps that you followed?
Okay, so many years ago, I've read a book on entrepreneurship where they said, find the problem. If you have a problem, find the solution and make it a business. And so that has always been part of my research. When I decided to make shower gels and soaps, and not coming from a chemical background, I did lots of research. I did lots of research whether there's a market for it, lots of how to keep it natural. What is my focus? What X factor would I add to the soap business? There's a few out there. And so there was many hours spent researching different recipes, finding different suppliers, getting used to a online buying platform, because not all products or raw materials are available in South Africa or in Cape Town, that is. So I had to get used to parting with money and hoping that the courier drops ingredients on my doorstep. So that was a risk. Yeah, it was quite a process. And then, of course, in October, that was 2 months after my research started, I had to make my first product, which was daunting because I've never worked with this particular chemicals before. And I just had to do it. And I made shower gel. And then, of course, I had colleagues and family who weren't too scared to use the product and test it, not too scared their skin was going to fall off, all of that. And they gave me very valuable feedback on each product. So every product I made thus far, some have I enhanced because I wasn't happy. Some of them I've discontinued because I just couldn't get it the way I wanted it to be. And thanks to colleagues and friends and family who tested the product, I'm able to now at least be happy with 4 or 5 of my products. It's still a research journey. I still need to formulate my own recipe, but it took spending some money on recipe books, on hours of research, and then having the courage to make that first product. And from there, I fell in love with it. I find it's nothing better than taking oil and adding a chemical and you get something that bubbles at the end. And yeah, that's where I'm at.
Okay. So I just saw that Dr. Ayuk posted something in the chat. You had a vision, idea, you did some research, and you also went beyond that. You prototyped. You took something, you created something, and then you did some market research. Fortunately, you had people who were not too nervous to try the products.
Yes.
So you relied on family and friends. I'm going to come to a question later about funding for that, because obviously funding is a big thing, but we'll park that for a while. Let me just ask you, why did you choose the name Garrett?
Garrett is a name that intrigued me for the past 13 years. And because it means freedom on such a lot of different levels, and freedom meaning different to everybody, especially in South Africa, it was a symbolism for me. You need financial freedom, you need freedom to exploit all markets, which is something that years ago we weren't able to do. And so that was my symbolism. Be free, use the products and feel free, and go out there and create your own freedom. And yeah, that's my story with Garrett.
I love that. I mean, Dale, thank you very much for sharing that. I just saw that there was a post in the chat. I would love to try your products, Dale. So obviously you have a customer that you probably could sell some of your products to. So entrepreneurship should actually ideally bring one freedom from poverty and freedom from dependence. So thank you for sharing that. Okay, Shyvana, we're going to go over to you. Now, unlike commercial entrepreneurship, you have embarked on something quite unique and a venture which has a lot stronger social impact. So you are an entrepreneur, but you are a social entrepreneur. You started Chef's Kitchen in 2020 during the lockdown, when many people were in distress, suffering, having been salaries cut, retrenched from their companies. So tell us, how do you understand the difference between social entrepreneurship and commercial entrepreneurship?
Thank you so much for having me. And thank you to everyone who has joined the webinar today. So as you say, social entrepreneurship to commercial entrepreneurship is something far different. Let me first start off by saying that the reason why I started Chef's Kitchen was because I have experienced myself on a first-hand basis what it is to not have enough of everything at a particular time. And also because I've been taught at this institution called TSIBA across these years that I've been here, that paying it forward is a very important aspect, should be a very important aspect of our lives. And my personal experiences combined with the learnings at TSIBA through entrepreneurship and the leadership and self-development model basically was my guiding light to starting the Chef's Kitchen. And as you say, Chef's Kitchen is a social entrepreneurship venture of mine. And the impact that I've made across these 19 months has been huge, and it has been amazingly received by the community, and they are so in awe of what I do. But getting back to your question where you say, what do I understand by social entrepreneurship and commercial entrepreneurship? Social entrepreneurship is entrepreneurship for an impact, is entrepreneurship to add value to people's lives. And it's not for profit making or raising your stakes or raising your money in your business. It's not for that. It's about making an impact and adding value, practical value to a person's life or to a particular people's lives. Whereas commercial entrepreneurship is much like what Dale was just telling us about, her business that she sells these products, and at the end of the day, she gets money for it and she makes a profit. So that profit goes into a business and it helps grow her business. Whereas with social entrepreneurship, you are doing something because you have either experiences, you have personal experience with what you are doing, or you just want to make an impact and add value to people's lives.
Tell me, Shyvana, you spoke about the value that you acquired at TSIBA, either through the leadership or entrepreneurship or TSIBA's value in paying it forward. How has this actually inspired you? And what would you recommend to other people that you know, your friends at TSIBA, about, you know, living the value of paying it forward?
So because there was always someone who helped me throughout my educational life. And when I got to TSIBA, I was told that I'm getting a scholarship. And immediately, when I started at TSIBA, we were tasked with doing a community project, and we did a community project in the suburb of Kensington. And at that time, I wasn't familiar with the paying it forward values and what it means to give back and what it means to give something to someone without expecting something back in return. I wasn't familiar with that. And as the years went by, each year we had a project where we had to do a pay it forward initiative, or we had to do mentorship, or we had to do this, that, and the other. Because of the type of person I am, coupled with that, I was always in a space and in a space to give and in a space to always share with what I have with the next person, be it through mentorship or be it through helping them, etc. So I will say to my friends and whoever's listening to this webinar today that South Africa needs leaders with head and with heart. Heart to understand what the actual needs is of our communities across this country and across our communities. There are so much needs, and there's so much need out there. Sometimes not even being it financial, sometimes just being you sitting and listening to someone's story or guiding them on how they can get help. So I say to my friends and family, look around you, look in your neighborhood, look at your friendship circle, look at your family circle, and identify something that you can do for the betterment of someone else. It doesn't always have to be reward-based for yourself. It can also just be something where you want to add value. So look around you, look at your friends, look at your family, look at your neighborhood, and identify something that you can do to better their lives. Be it taking a child and explaining to him what university options there are, or taking someone and explaining to them what entrepreneurship options you know of that you can connect them with. There's always something that you can do within your small circle to the betterment of someone else.
Wow, that's very inspiring. I wish there were more people that thought like you, Shyvana. I just want to be, before, obviously many people would think it's, when you're not selling something, it makes it a lot more challenging to make a venture sustainable. So how do you go about attracting support to Chef's Kitchen?
So a big part of my support is family and friends. And I see one of my biggest supporters, Janine Ibbotson, has joined this webinar. And I just want to say thank you to her, because without her guidance, her resource sharing and her guidance across this month, it wouldn't have been possible. So a large part of how I sustain Chef's Kitchen is through family and friends, my personal networks. But another part of that is also through networks or resources and contacts that I pick up along the way, and I connect to those people, and they connect with me, and they assist me here and they assist me there. Although it's very difficult at times, because family and friends also has their own finances and their own responsibilities that they have to care for. There is, across this 19 months, has always been, and I'm so thankful for that. There's always been someone in our corner who's been supporting us and helping us finance our daily operations or our weekly operations at Chef's Kitchen.
Okay. Thank you, Shyvana. That was very inspiring.
Thank you so much.
And I think maybe just if you look at, takeaway pointers from this webinar, there are many well-meaning individuals out in society. And it's about connecting the dots where you might have a purpose that someone else is willing to support. And by bringing the two parties together, you can make something happen. We don't have to stand on our own. We are part of a community. We are part of broader society. And I think it's a case of developing those networks, stepping out into the light, so to speak, and showing up, and then making sure that we connect with those individuals who might have the resources but not the time to support various projects or initiatives. So thank you for sharing that with us. We'll come back to you, Shyvana. Denver Vandenberg.
Yes, good day. Thank you for having me. Hi, everyone.
Juggling a full-time job and being a student, a mature student, can be rather challenging. And one of the challenges often faced by what I hear from many people is, I just don't have the time. So what I would like to hear from you is, how do you juggle the responsibilities of holding down a full-time job, being a student, and also managing M people?
So I don't sleep. No, just joking, I do sleep. But yeah, I think, it's because I have a purpose. I found my purpose in life. There was a long time in my life where I didn't have a purpose. I was just living my life day by day, work, eat, sleep. And then along with that, there was also, attached to that drug abuse as well as alcohol abuse. Which led me to a very dark road where I became very sad. And eventually, obviously, I hit my rock bottom. In my rock bottom, in my deepest, darkest sort of despair, I reached out. I decided to call out for help, and somebody reached out a hand and provided me with help. And this basically helped me change my life around. And it gave me this new purpose where, now I'm driven by this purpose to actually give back and, to sort of pay it forward. And in order for me to pay it forward, I realized that, I need to first sort of lead myself before I can lead others. And, here at TSIBA, basically I'm driving that forward, with the M people, with working. I'm just growing every day, each day, and that's the main thing that drives me. It gives me energy because I have that goal and that purpose, basically.
When someone reaches rock bottom, they often feel completely powerless. They feel that there is nothing left to live for anymore. And psychologically, emotionally, physically, they are depleted. How did you manage to pick yourself up?
So basically, I had somebody at work that basically sort of reached out a hand, because I do believe, without support, I wouldn't have been able to have done it. He basically helped me out, and he took me to an institution, a rehab, where I learned a lot of life skills, and it really set me up. When I left the rehabilitation center, I was basically a new person. I found hope again, and that was the main important thing. And with this hope, I'm learning to be my best self again and to live my best life. I've never been so happy in my, like, I don't think ever. Like, I wake up every morning, I'm fresh, I'm ready to attack the day. So that has played a major, major role, just the support that I initially had at the start. And yeah, now I'm just basically driving it forward. My road basically led me to TSIBA, which is so in line, especially with, the motto of paying it forward and where I want to go. So it all just came together. Yeah, thanks to my higher power, because obviously I wouldn't have been able to have done it with my own strength. So, yes.
Okay. So coming back to my earlier question, Denver, how do you juggle your time management between a full-time job, being a student, and also running these projects on the side?
So it can become quite intense, I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of pressure involved as well. But like if you have your passion and your purpose, it makes it a little bit easier. But also a very important point is, I've learned to also take a break when I need to. And this basically I manage by sort of like, going on a hike where I just switch off from the world completely. I leave my phone at home. And then I would take maybe a few hours or even a day if I have to. I'll switch off completely, refresh my mind. I also do a bit of running, which also helps a lot. I'm currently training myself. Basically, I've got a goal of running the comrades one day. Hopefully I'll get there. But it's, it's sort of like a thing of mind, body, and soul. So, I keep my body fit, I keep my mind fresh, and I give thanks to my higher power, and that keeps me on the straight and narrow, so to speak.
Okay, but I'm going to drill down into this question because I think it's an important one. We are faced with a number of demands on our time every single day. Do you sit down in the morning and say, okay, fine, I'm taking out my diary and I'm going to allocate my time or my responsibilities according to time? How do you go about juggling this? How do you go about planning?
Yeah, so planning is very important. Obviously, like I said, with your mind, body, and soul, I've got to make sure that I do have time for all those avenues. I bought myself a whiteboard, which I keep at home, and I'm constantly sort of filling it in, just to like small notes, reminders, and a sort of schedule that I stick to, basically. And it's especially important especially at college with all the assignments. And then, yeah, also with the, at school, I do depend a lot on my fellow students as well, and being a part of a team and, creating sort of good relations, because, there's a lot of support there as well, reminders and, helping and assisting each other. Yeah, so these are all ways of basically keeping it all together, so to speak.
Okay, so thank you very much for sharing that. Dale, I'm going to come back to you. So you spoke about, when you purchase things online and you face the risk of it not arriving at wherever you ordered it from, you ordered the goods from. Being risk averse is probably one of the biggest challenges facing entrepreneurs, because most entrepreneurs have a fear of failure. How do you manage your risks?
Okay, I've been part, I think it's design thinking workshop I went to, and they said if you fail early so that you learn from it. And so, yes, the best way is just to jump in. I come from a banking background, so it's, we got so many warnings of fraud and you learn all of those things. So I've used some of that to research websites firstly, to make sure that the reviews that people has given good reviews before I purchase from those shops. I've tried to reduce that risk to some extent. You can't, in business, you cannot be scared to take a risk, because without a risk, there's no leap. And I had to learn to actually speak daily or think daily of my risk appetite and increase it along the way. I won't be able to build a business if I don't take the risk of partnering, of collaboration, of trusting suppliers. And I believe that you cannot operate on a premise of fear. So you have to work at your risk appetite constantly.
I like that. No risk, no reward. But I'm going to come to I have another question for you, and probably the one that is the elephant in the room. When people think of starting a business, the first thing that comes to mind is funding. You know, you need to have funding. If you have no money, it's very difficult. It's a huge barrier to entry. How did you fund the start of your business?
I funded most of the business, well, all of the business out of my own pocket. So I was fortunate to have a full-time job and I could use of that money to start the business. I read extensively on bootstrapping and how you can use your own money and put it into the business. That's part of the risk. You cannot put your own money in without the risk of the business venture not working, and you have to take that risk. I've also along the way one of these online courses of how to fund a business and different ways of doing that. So I'm always looking for competitions because that's one way of getting money for free. Like our TSIBA Business Battle, it's free money, so students should really take part in those type of initiatives, business plan, competitions there are. And that is the way to make money when you actually don't have your own. I believe there's two ways to start your business. It's the initial business, and then it's the cash cow that feeds the business. So I often tell students or people, if you have money for a packet of sweets, buy it. That's not your business, but buy it, sell it, make a profit, and build it up to eventually be able to fund the bigger business that you want to set up.
Okay. I'm very intrigued by your understanding of bootstrapping, because I think, you know, so people often in business talk about skin in the game, and that measures your commitment. If you are not willing to put skin in the game, commit your own funding, then why would another venture capital funder put money into your business? You have to demonstrate through your own commitment and your belief in your business. So I'm a very strong believer in starting where you are with what you have. And I think bootstrapping is a good way of just taking that step forward. You also mentioned something about, you know, overcoming fear. So fear is a huge inhibitor for, as I mentioned earlier on, for most businesses in South Africa. And I think the reason is because people look down on people who have failed. It's almost as if we stigmatize failure. Whereas if you go to Silicon Valley in California, where all these tech companies are being born every single day, the more you fail and the more you learn from your failure, the more you are actually endorsed by the business community. So this is something that we should really work at, is how do we reconceptualize failure and use failure to our advantage? Now, I don't want to romanticize failure. All I'm saying is that we need to fail quickly and fail forward. So use failure as a way of acquiring new skills. Shyvana, I have a question for you. You know, with social entrepreneurship, when we look across the length and breadth of South Africa, you find that there's a huge culture of entitlement. Over 17 million people in this country are dependent on some form of grant, whether it be a SASSA grant or a child grant or the various other grants that we have. There are many people also dependent on aid in various forms or shapes, etc., whether it be food parcels or whatever it might be. What do you think of, do you think that social entrepreneurship perpetuates the entitlement thinking? How do you see social entrepreneurship developing so that it can actually break the cycle of dependence?
I think that social entrepreneurship is important, and it's important because it relieves a lot of things in our society. But I believe that it's also important the onus is on the person who takes forward the social entrepreneurship into the community, whoever they take it forward into, to come up with a strategy to allow for that social entrepreneurship to be accepted as a way of doing things, but also to allow for the beneficiaries of the social entrepreneurship to also give back even in the smallest way possible, even if it means picking up the papers in the street, assisting at whatever social entrepreneurship project there is to assist at. So I believe the onus is on the individual or the company taking forward the social entrepreneurship project to develop the project in such a way that they don't give the message of you're getting something and you're not giving something back in return. I think the message should always be that we are giving you something, but you also have to give something back in return, whether it be doing something physical or whatever there is available for you to do. Yeah.
So have you integrated that into your operational model? Do you encourage those who come to Chef's Kitchen to give back in the way that they can? And what has been the uptake of that?
So when we restarted in 2021, we rehashed our way of doing things. So we rehashed our main. So basically we provide people with a meal twice a week in the community. But also now we have opened up ourselves to allow for those beneficiaries to come once a week to clean our property, or come whenever we are serving food to clean the pots or to clean the utensils we use. So we have, by all means possible, tried to include or try to rehash the way we are doing things to show the beneficiaries that yes, you are getting something, but yes, you also have to give something back in return. So slowly but surely, we are rehashing our model and we are rehashing our business model to include for the beneficiaries, whoever we're going to attract to our business or to our operation, to also try and find a means to give back, whether it be cleaning the street, whether it be helping us, whether it be taking on a course that we are offering to better yourself, doing a food gardening, etc. and etc.
All right, thank you very much for that. Denver, I just realized that you didn't really unpack what M People was all about. So can you just tell us about the actual business and what is the kind of the value proposition of the business?
Awesome. Yeah, so the M People, like you said, it started as a project in one of our classes where we as a group each had to we had to start with 100 Rand and turn it into, say, 10,000 Rand over the course of the semester. So I had the idea because I work at the Silo Hotel. I've noticed that a lot of people come in and they always taking photos of themselves and selfies. And then basically, they always have to bother the staff or they have to ask a stranger to take a photo. So I thought, this is a nice gap, like if I could get somebody to come and actually assist and, stand there and take actual photos of them so that the staff don't get, or service doesn't get disruptive, that could work. And then also the whole idea came in with the instant photo, which is nice as a memorabilia. Because people want to be noticed and seen in these places and they want a nice sort of memorabilia of their moment in these high-end places. So that's how the idea came about. And then my colleague, Miriam, she was really instrumental. She helped to drive it forward, as well as my other group members. We called ourselves the M People because, we strive to make the moment memorable for our customers. And then we just sort of approached your sort of private corporations. We approached the biscuit mill as well, and they said, no, it's fine, you can come through to the market, on Saturdays. And we had our first run just to see how it was, gonna go. And it started off very, it was difficult at the start. Because the weather wasn't right, it was a bit cloudy. The photos initially didn't want to develop properly when it came out instantly, and then it almost gave up. But then all of a sudden the sun came out, and then people were just running and actually asking, and sales were just all of a sudden booming. And we were like, wow, this is actually working. And I mean, since then it's just sort of blown up, and it was turned out to be sort of like a great venture, and it works.
So so now with M People being it was a student project, has it become an established business?
It's still a work in process. Like I said, it is a project that we started in class, but obviously we didn't think it was going to do that well. So we're definitely looking into continuing it beyond the actual project. Because I mean, sort of season is coming in Cape Town, COVID restrictions are being lifted, there's more events, so there's something there. So we're definitely thinking of taking it forward.
Okay, so on that point of taking it forward, when people start a business, they often think, well, firstly, they need to have a business plan. And once they have the business plan, they think of a marketing plan and all these other plans. So they spend more time developing plans rather than actually doing the business. For all three of you, are you working according to a plan, or are you just letting the plan unfold as you navigate the complexities of business and of life? Let's start with you, Dale.
Okay, I was those people that needed to write everything. But then when I started the business, I did start with a business plan, but a very simple one. So I downloaded an app on Google Play, and I answered a few questions, and it kicked out a business plan. And it was more for the cash forecasting part that I used that, because I don't have much experience on that side. But it's still a workable plan. So even though I have a plan, I also have a start of a marketing plan that I'm busy with. I'm busy with a brand strategy plan and a global marketing plan. But you cannot, I believe that when you start a business, you cannot wait for those plans to be put in place, because if you can't do it yourself, it costs lots of money to have it developed. And it also takes lots of time. And because I manufacture my products and have to market and do that, there's not much time to have some sophisticated plan in place right at the beginning. I believe that any plan you have takes you from one step to the next. As long as you're about 4 steps ahead, you can start at step 1. And then you develop further steps as you move into the business. And most times what you think the business should run at changes direction as you're busy. So you have to be agile in the business market. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to market to a market that will not budge on your product. And then you have to rethink and rehash and redo a product and rebrand or remarket. So it takes lots of planning. It definitely does. It takes a lot of thought work into it and lots of passion behind it, because there are going to be days where you don't feel it. And you're going to have to push through those days and look back at your plan and see, okay, so I have met step 1 and step 2. I've got lots of lists that I make so that I can go back every few months and see, have I achieved that? Once you write something down, there's something about it that you will achieve it without actually thinking about it. And I believe in writing everything down and then going back every few months and seeing what you've achieved or how close you are. It's important to continually evaluate yourself and your business, and then add on the next steps to your plan. But whatever you do, write it down.
Okay, so I think that's very sound advice. It brings to mind a saying that I heard. It says, failing to plan is planning to fail. So a plan doesn't have to be a sophisticated, administratively bound document, but it could just be a very elementary one to put in place the steps that you need to do. And I also like your comment about the fact that you write it down, because when you write something down, it's actually the beginning of your commitment. You put some pen to paper, and when you write, it's also interesting how one's creative juices start to flow. And where you might have some direction you want to go, you might find you diverting into another direction. And then I think the other point that you mentioned there about being agile, agility has certainly been one of the most defining values during the time of COVID. So people had to be agile, working from home, social distancing, online purchasing, etc. So agility is really part of the new way of doing business. But when you are agile, you must be agile quickly. And I remember when I was driving to work this morning, I heard a saying by Jack Ma. So Jack Ma is the Chinese billionaire who started Tencent and Alibaba. And he said that as an entrepreneur, besides solving a social problem, you also need to be ahead of the pack. So the entrepreneur is someone that wakes up before everyone else. The entrepreneur is someone that does something before anyone else. So it's about really being proactive and seizing the initiative, doing something before ahead of the competition. So I really like that. I also, you mentioned that you downloaded your business plan from Google Play. So I'm hoping that whoever is part of the webinar, there are so many tools and resources available on the internet that we can tap into and we can use. So, everything is there. It's just a matter of taking it and then starting something. Shyvana, how do you market Chef's Kitchen, and how do you attract support to Chef's Kitchen?
So we market our my business or my social entrepreneurship business via Facebook and Instagram and our social media platforms. That is the best way that we can do it at the moment. We get the most of our support there. And then we also try to do events at least twice, 2 events per month. And then we'll invite some media houses along, and then they'll do an article for us, and the article will be posted, and that article will then gain traction as it goes along. The call for support is also always via our social media platforms. If it's not via our social media platforms, it is via our WhatsApp pages and etc. So yeah, as I said, we gain support from our friends and family, but also connections. Like recently, we got in contact with Layers of Love, as well as Shoprite, and that was also given to us via a contact, via someone. And that is how we are doing things. We are networking, we are asking, and that is how we've been assisted over these past 2 months.
And has it been successful?
It has been successful. We are still in a position to feed people twice a week. So for the most part, it has been successful. That has been a successful marketing strategy for us. We haven't branched out into asking into marketing via big companies or big corporations as yet, but we'd like to get there one day.
Okay, just just to show us how many people you feed, to gauge the success of Chef's Kitchen, approximately how many people do you feed per week?
So we do between 200 and 250 people per day. So there'll be about like 500 people a week. Yeah.
That is phenomenal.
Thank you.
Phenomenal. well done on that. I'm just looking at the, so Shyvana, there's a lot of affirmation from students and staff about your paying it forward. I'm just looking at, okay, so here's a question from one of our students, Michael Jabe, and the question is, how important is a business plan to starting? I think we've addressed that question already, but maybe just for Michael Jabe, would anyone like to answer his question? How important is a business plan?
I'll answer that.
Okay.
The business plan is important because that is your step 1 to 10 of your business. It leads you to where you need to go. It also, in your business plan, your financial options will be in there, your marketing, a bit of your marketing plan, and it will guide you through the business. A business plan is a moving document, so it's not something that needs to be static at the beginning. You will always adapt it, you will always adjust, because every year you end up you're on a different platform to where you started in the first year. So you will always move your business plan. So Michael, the business plan is important to write it down. A sophisticated one, I don't believe, and is that important unless you're going and you're going to present to a funder. Then you write your business plan according to what you need. So if you're going to a bank, you adjust your business plan for that type of funding. If you're going into a business battle, you adjust your business plan to help you with that initiative. And it's like a CV. You need it to guide you, and you use it on your journey through your business.
Thank you, Dale. So it's a guiding document. Dale, there was another question that was posed to you. How do people get to buy your products? And maybe you can just talk about your marketing at the same time.
Okay, at the moment, you can WhatsApp me. I've got a business WhatsApp. I do have a Facebook page. In the next week and a half, my website and online shop will be live. One of our students is working on that currently. So pretty soon, you'll see through my Facebook, you'll find Garrett Natural. Instagram will be developed as soon as we have the base for the shop, so that everything can be in uniform. So that when you see Garrett's name, it will be uniform across the social media platforms. So look out for me in the next week or two. For now, you can find me on my WhatsApp. Many have my WhatsApp number, as well as my Facebook is just Dale Skippers, SKIPPERS. You'll find me there, and you'll find my products.
Okay, Dale, thank you. Thank you very much. So we have about 10 minutes left. What I would like to know is, what are your future plans? So Denver, let's start with you. How do you see yourself growing forward, either in your professional role as a food and beverage manager, or with M People?
So looking to my future, you know, it's something that it's very bright. It makes me very happy. I've got big goals that I want to achieve. So yeah, I want to become a leader in my community. I want to set a good example to others, you know, that might have the same problem or has been through the same problems that I've been through. I want to become an entrepreneur, and also, you know, have it sort of like, you know, the same ethos as TSIBA, where it's based on paying it forward. I will still run with M People, just as a nice little side hustle to generate income, but my heart is to sort of, you know, make a positive impact in the community, and maybe open in a non-profit organization one day where I can give back to others that are in need. And yeah, that's basically me.
Okay. Tell me, has M People achieved some of the objectives that you've set for it?
Yes, so M People basically achieved the objective for the project, because the main goal of the project was basically to take the 100 Rand and turn it into 10,000, which we did achieve in the time that it was set. Also, you know, the biggest thing for me with the M People was just to see how it brought us as a group together, and how we worked efficiently together. It built really, really good, solid relations. So for me, you know, having that as a goal was pretty well achieved. Yes.
And okay, I have another question for you, but I'll come back to that later. Shyvana, what are your future plans for Chef's Kitchen?
So we would like to create more umbrellas or create more branches onto our existing structure. So for the year ahead, we'd like to roll out a numeracy and literacy program for the community. We'll partner with 2 schools, and we'll then do like an after-school program at the schools with the children. That is our plan for now. For the long term, we would like to actually become non-existent in our community. And the only way we can do that is if we establish sustainable projects or sustainable ways of creating income for the community. So that is ultimately the goal and the plan for our community and for the organization.
Okay. And being a student, obviously you hope to graduate in hopefully soon. So when you graduate, are you going to, do you see yourself being full-time employed in Chef's Kitchen, or was it mainly a project for now to address a particular need as you identified it in the community?
So it was an intervention when the COVID pandemic started, but as the months went along, the passion for it grew, and we would like to take the organization to a different place, into a different space, perhaps in education or entrepreneurship or leadership, perhaps in one of those spheres. So I do see myself working there for at least the next 10 or 15 years. But I'd like to also venture into something else. I'm still busy planning that. But yeah, Chef's Kitchen is let's say the medium-term plan for the next 10 to 15 years.
And when you speak about we, Shyvana, who is all involved in Chef's Kitchen? You're the managing director. Do you have a board? Do you have other people working with you?
Yes, so we are a registered NPO. We've got a board of 3 members. And then we've got a staff of 5 people. So all in all, we're about 10 people that is running the organization, both on the ground and in administration as well.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing that with us. Dale, what are your future plans for Garrett?
Future. Okay, so Garrett has been set up for a future of freedom. So I'm hoping that in the next 5 years that Garrett will grow to such an extent that I could firstly work in it full time. And then secondly, I'd like to take it to Mauritius and run it from there.
You'd like to take it to Mauritius and run it from there? Yes,
that's my market. That's my global marketing strategy.
Okay, yes. So you have definite plans for sort of global expansion.
That is correct, yes.
Okay, well, I look forward to reading about you in Forbes Africa. So we have about 3 minutes left. What are your parting thoughts? You have staff and students who have listened to you over the last hour. Denver, what would you like to leave with them?
Well, for me, sort of personally, just keep on, never give up, follow your dreams, live your life, be happy. It's never too late, just make the start. It's like you said earlier, it takes one step in a step for many, just take the first step and go for it.
Okay, and are you willing to assist people to work with you? Are you willing to mentor them? What are you willing to do to expand your influence?
I'm willing to go all the way. It's a passion. I want to give back. I feel it is my calling. I am at TSIBA, and it's vital, for me to learn. Like I said earlier as well, I've got to learn to lead myself first, and then pay it forward. But definitely, it's in my heart. Anybody can ask me at any time for help, and I'll be there, and I'll be available. I won't sleep. Any time of the morning you call my name, I'll be there. That's my motto. That's who I am.
Thank you very much, Denver. Dale?
To me, just start. That is my advice. The cloud above you will never, you have to start whether there's a cloud or not. You have to work through the hard times. You have to be consistent, follow your plan. And yes, you won't always succeed, but you will definitely learn.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Shyvana?
I'd like to build on to what Dale said. As I said earlier, just start. There's always and in the land of social entrepreneurship and paying it forward and helping, there's always an avenue for you to help. So identify where you find yourself comfortable to help and start. If it means starting small, just helping your fellow classmate or helping your family member, just start. And once you start, you will identify where you need to head from there. So yeah, start and let's create a better South Africa for all of us together. Let's stop complaining and let's take action to better these problems.
I like that, like the Nike advert, just do it. So TSIBA needs to be a group, a community of doers. So, no complaining. So Shyvana, I want you to put that in writing somewhere. Stop complaining, just do it.
Just do it.
To all those who joined this webinar, and particularly our panelists, thank you very much for sharing your journeys. Thank you for sharing your insights. Thank you for sharing your expertise. And the mighty oak tree starts from a small acorn, and that small acorn germinates and grows into a mighty oak tree. And I'm hoping that your ideas, that the businesses that you have started can grow into a mighty empire, an empire that inspires, an empire that brings value, an empire that contributes towards the development of the communities in which you live, the communities of Cape Town, the Western Cape, South Africa, Africa, the planet. So I feel very inspired by having listened to you. And what I hope is that more people within the TSIBA community will step forward and share with us some of their ventures, the entrepreneurial ventures which they've started, and we can bring that into this space where we can hopefully ignite a massive roaring fire of people who are willing to do. So on that note, thank you very much, and watch out for the next webinar on Show Up to Startup. Thank you very much. Goodbye, everyone.